Howdy, cadre. This should be good. This is a nice little valley. Where does... Ah, to the swamp. Nice. That could be a nice little river. But if I put a kind of a culvert in there that let the water flow. Anyways, it could come. Anyways, yeah, I'm gonna go blow some stuff up while I talk about nonviolent protests. So I went down to the Diag and I did a walk around the thing to kind of surveil all the people at the edges, and there were a few local street cops there. I didn't see state police. Well, I think there were state police there, but we're not a huge city, and there weren't National Guard or anything like that. Oh, the big bada boom. Yeah, this is some irony here that I'm going to be doing some bada bing boom while talking about peaceful protests. Yeah, and it just, people talking in the center of the Diag. And then they walked up Liberty Street, which, that's fitting, to Main Street. So west on Liberty to Main, north on Main. I think they stopped briefly on Main Street, but I was trying to stay at the edge, keep my eyes open, not intermingle as much as I had on the previous one. Stay on the sidewalks, not in the street. Obey traffic laws and stuff. Stay out of people's way. Practice social distancing. Had my mask on. And I was traveling light again. And yeah, this is going pretty well. I like how this is opening this up. Bada big boom. Pull! Oh, I got a chicken. Yeah, peaceful. Well organized. Yeah, I was at Main Street. So they stopped on Main briefly, and I think this protest was organized by a social worker who is what am I doing? Trying to give voice to victims of police brutality. Speak for those that have been lost to the community. Excessive use of force by law enforcement. It's the way I like to phrase it. It's the most technical and clear. Because I'm sensitive to word pairings, and the more you hear police brutality, the more you associate those two words, and it works both ways. Of course, that's why thugs is seen as a kind of a code word for young black troublemakers, usually. And oh, this is gonna be a big chain. Okay, I see you. I see you. That's a lot of darkness, but yeah, this is getting some nice extra space, and in a rather natural looking way. I mean, I'll probably, clean up the holes and some of the overhangs and stuff. But I might do even more blasting, so I'm not doing that now. So, yeah. Diverse groups of people, so they stopped on Main Street to talk. And they would stop for, maybe 5 minutes to say just a few things. And then they went up to the prosecutor's office, which was closed. But there were media marching with them. Again, kind of at the edges. I felt like I was tripping over people with cameras and stuff at times. Not really tripping, but again, I was trying to practice social distancing, so I was having to, try and give people space as I went, which can be hard when there's a big group filling the street. Up Main to the prosecutor's office, they stopped there, talked for, again, maybe 5 minutes. We walked down Huron Street, which is a pretty main thoroughfare. And they headed east there to the City Hall, Police Station, Municipal Building, I think is the proper name. It has a lot of the city offices. It's a fairly new facility that's very well secured. Well, it's kind of half and half. It's kind of two buildings joined together. The police station is the new half. It's got a lot of, it's got metal detectors and secure checkpoints, lobby, and then the other half is the city offices that have like the county clerks and where you go for utility issues and to pay your property taxes and register to vote, all those things. File complaints, get help with landlords. So yeah, and it's got a nice staircase that wraps up on top of the parking area for the cop cars. But even that, it's not near the entrance to the garage. It's just a walkway that goes over it, so you can cut from one street to another. Anyways, but it makes a nice kind of stage or overlook, and they used that kind of as their primary photo op, and they spoke there kind of to the that's where they spoke to the city. Since I think they were going to do that at the prosecutor's office, but since okay, more bing bing bada boom. Since that was closed, they went to the front of City Hall, which was a better layout anyways. And they spoke there, and I think a lot of the photos and videos that were shared by the news media were from that point, and I was kind of around the corner of that building so that I could be seen easily by the protesters, but a lot of the media people were near me shooting towards the protesters, so I wouldn't end up in many photos or videos. I mean, not that I was recognizable anyways. Self-tinting glasses, unicorn suit, face N95 face mask on. You know. So all that went pretty well, and then they walked down Huron back to State Street, and then back to the Diag, where they talked some more. I think more about, like, more to the protesters again in the future. But there were cops right there. And in fact, when they were done, this part I really liked. The organizer, the one who organized the event, and spoke. And she's someone whose husband was tased and fell and had a pretty bad concussion, I think. They asked him the birthday of his children to kind of test how awake and aware he was, and he was having trouble remembering that, which he normally wouldn't. So, and he was there with her, I think. He didn't die from it, but, you know, it certainly affected his life and I think his job and stuff like that. So, and part of what they were protesting was some local deaths, you know, from encounters with law enforcement of innocent black people. So, am I getting somewhere? Boom, boom. They got back to the Diag, and that isn't what I wanted to do, but ship happens. So, yeah. Some of the last things she said was that the Constitution's a good document, and it's really a guideline that should be motivating all the members of law enforcement. And yeah, so that was cool, and she reminded people of the First Amendment, and suggested people, you know, when they go home, read it and keep it in mind. And yeah, so that I've sworn an oath to defend it. So that I really appreciated, that she would point that out to the people there, the protesters and the police that were there. And then the whole thing was rather positive. I mean, they made it clear what they wanted, you know, reform of, you know, better training, guidelines, accountability, transparency, all that stuff, and, you know, less use of force. In encounters, yeah, more training on non-lethal methods and restraints, and you know, yada yada yada. And then kind of the final thing she said was, that they're gonna take I think the rest of the day and Saturday to rest. That at least this organization was not having They were taking a day off because they had already protested several days in a row, I think. I don't know, was it Saturday and then Monday to observe. And yeah, take day of rest, go do stuff with your families. Weather's good, do stuff in your yard. I know you all want to. Stuff to do at home. Thanks for coming and participating. But yeah, let's once we're done, let's all disperse, go our separate ways. There's a curfew tonight, and let's respect that. And yeah, it was very well organized, and you can look for footage online if you want. MLive is a local news organization that was there, and I don't know, I'm sure there were some others. But yeah, the Ann Arbor downtown protest on 6/1. You can attempt to play the game of Spot the Unicorn. I don't think you'll succeed, because like I said, I did a pretty good job of sticking to the edges, staying out of the streets, and like I noticed the videographer for MLive was on the opposite side of the street from me the whole protest. I mean, I didn't notice that. They blend in pretty well. They aren't they didn't have press hats on or anything, although some of them did have high visibility jackets that, you know, said press on them. But most of them just kind of blended in, and it relied on their badge and their camera or microphone or whatever to kind of identify them. But I don't think the reporters here were too worried about that. And largely the police were just watching for problems. And also part of what the protesters had were people who were labeled as volunteer medics, which I thought was pretty cool. And there were people handing out water, which kind of made me a little weirded out. Free water. A little weirded out during pandemic. But, you know, it was bottled water. It was new bottles of water, so it's not like there was something too fishy going on. It's just, again, my paranoia. But I decided not to take one because, again, that might look like that might increase the optics that I was a participant, and I wanted to appear as a supporter, but not necessarily again, it's all on a spectrum. Like observer, supporter, protester, looter, vandal. Actually, it may go the other way. Vandal, looter, rioter. Anyways, none of that got that far, certainly in Ann Arbor. It was all kept to nonviolent, peaceful protesters, a little bit of yelling, a whole lot of shouting slogans and stuff. Hands up, don't shoot. The solidarity fist. I wish there were more peace signs mixed in there, but yeah, it's not the hippie movement as much. I did see a few people in tie-dye, or that looked like older hippies. But there we go. Yeah. One of the last things she said was to disperse, and then as the crowd was starting to break up, there were some people that wanted to talk to her or the other speakers, and they went up to the steps on the diag outside of the Gride Library and spoke with her, and she had a bunch of people with her that were keeping watch, keeping her safe, and the other speakers and stuff. there's one guy wearing a Guy Fawkes mask on the back of his head, and he had slogans written on it. He was working pretty tightly with them, and they had people standing at the ends of the stairs to just kind of question anybody that would try and approach while they were speaking and stuff. But yeah, so a bunch of the a few from the community spoke to them, and I was just kind of watching. And then I saw that a bunch of the local police went up, and a bunch, 4 or 5, walked up, and a couple of them spoke with her for a few minutes. I wasn't close enough to hear what was said, but yeah, then I approached her and just said that I was a local resident and I came to observe, and I appreciated how well organized it was. That I had been watching, footage from other cities, and I wanted to come down to see what was happening in my own city. And yeah, I thanked her for doing such a good job organizing the event and keeping it nonviolent, and especially for bringing up the Constitution. Because yeah, I think that's real important for a lot of reasons. So, I gave her a fist bump. I had a glove on, and I gave her a fist bump, and then I went home. So yeah, I didn't get footage because I don't want to be seen as being politically active or motivated. I was there for, like I said, observation first. Just kind of visible as a Caucasian supporter, or even just listener. There's a little bit more. And yeah, it was a nice day. It was a lot of walking, and I haven't done a whole lot of that recently with the stay-at-home orders. So I was pretty tired as I headed home, and I had work to do when I got home. Things started at 1, and I had left at maybe 11 to do my little circuit. And, observation of the route, and got home at about 4. I don't know why this one's here, but I guess it's not there anymore. So, end of story. Yeah, normally if it wasn't for my second job and my oath to the Constitution, I would have probably recorded a lot of it and just posted it, with the idea of showing that, countering the natural mainstream media focus on the conflict draws attention, gets more viewers, helps the bottom line, gets the advertisers happy when you have more viewers, and we like seeing crazy stuff, and it gives us a warped perception of what's really going on out there, because they don't focus on, like, well, the big mainstream companies don't focus on the families that are in among them, unless they're trying to say, look, they're using child human shields or whatever. Oh, it's morning. But, you know, in my little corner of the internet with you, the small cadre I have of a few views, you know, like 1 to 100 views per video I upload, and 100 takes quite a bit of time. It needs to have like a good middle frame thumbnail or a good title or whatever. And my primary goal with titles is not to draw attention. It's usually a play on words and sometimes a double meaning. I don't know what I'll name this yet. I usually figure that after the file's saved. So, oh, and it's a two-parter. 2 titles. What did I get up to? Yeah, so I got home. It's a good experience. And it made me feel a lot more confident that the whole country wasn't on fire and being broken. You know, that these were specific flashpoints. And I had learned through social media that a lot of the arrests that were occurring were people who had come from out of the city into, I may have said Milwaukee before, but I meant Minneapolis, I think. Yeah, Twin Cities. Minneapolis, St. Paul. People who had come in from out of the city or even out of state, a lot of them that were getting arrested. And that was true also in Detroit, and I think possibly LA. Or no, maybe I'm thinking of Atlanta. I forget. I watched a bunch of footage Sunday from different places. But yeah, there's so much going on that's not just the main narrative. I saw protesters stopping vandals in many cities. Protesters making human walls to keep other protesters from breaking windows or entering shops to loot them. I saw a young white guy breaking windows with a skateboard, and on one of his backswings, a larger black guy just grabbed his skateboard and yanked it out of his hand. And the white kid just ran off without a skateboard. I thought that was the funniest part, that, like, he's like, oh, I'm out of here. If the protesters are turning against me, I better just get to safety. And again, just because you see somebody committing an act like that does not tell you their political leaning or their motivation. Some want to make the protest violent, so the cops will respond. Some want to make it violent so it has more of an impact in the news media, and some just want to break stuff and see flames. But I also saw on various footage cops speaking with protesters, walking with them in solidarity, kneeling to show respect. yeah, so many different things. And then also, there's cops arresting news media, reporters and their crew. There's, of course, violence occurring, protesters being hurt by protesters, racial tension or otherwise, just in the commotions, things can happen. Cops getting hurt, obviously, by rioters, more violent ones, and I don't support violence from either side. There's tear gas being used, rubber bullets, pepper spray. It's a common tactic to kick tear gas canisters back. I could go on, but yeah, obviously protesters protecting local properties. But those tend to be from the bigger cities, and like I said, people come in from out of state, and I wonder if everybody they're catching is from out of state, or if they're doing some catch and release, because certainly you could scoop up 40 people, check their IDs, verify whether they live nearby or not, and based on what they were seeing doing by the cop that detained them, make the decision to release them or arrest them. And some of that could be based on where they're from. Because if you come in from far away, especially while there's these shelter-in-place orders going on, it looks a lot more like you have extremist goals. So the numbers could be skewed for that reason, not that I'm claiming they are, just that I'm aware it's a possibility. So, alright, well, we hurt our trees, at least the canopy, but we haven't hurt our little oh, we did expand that. I think we blew out some glass up here, but I can patch that up. But we'll probably take out these trees because we want this to be better sight lines, I think. I don't know. We'll see in the future what happens. But yeah, this is nice. This feels I think there's more visibility. I think the next step is going to be, I may do more demo. But probably not in all these areas I just hit. I may want to come through and just knock out certain areas further. Anyways, we'll see. There's my stories of Monday. Now it's already Wednesday. I could talk about yesterday for a while too, but I'll have to think about that first. Insert catchphrase here.